Hey, you too. Welcome back to my channel. This is Nathan Daley. I am your law enforcement translator, here to provide insight on a lot of these current event issues that are taking place in this country. You guys, I am here to provide some perspective, right? Especially when it comes to law enforcement encounters. And this specifically, you guys, I'm doing a follow-up on a video I did last week involving a gentleman by the name of Antwan Cooper. For those who have not seen that video, I will put a link here at the top. I did a breakdown of this video based on a request that was sent to me by a friend of mine, and he wanted to know my thoughts on it. I thought it was a very interesting situation. I had some concerns about it. Well, there were issues about this particular case. There was no body camera footage. Well, recently the body camera footage was released, and there were two officers involved. We only see the body camera from one. Apparently and allegedly, only one officer had the body camera on. The officer who actually shot the suspect was a supervisor, and he was not wearing any body camera on. So we're not going to get his perspective, but you do see him enter into the video. And so we're going to look at it. I'm going to break it down. You know, when I first reviewed this incident, I went based off of what the family saw and what they observed. And what's interesting is the family is saying that they witnessed their family member be shot. So I don't know. I find it kind of interesting. I don't know what information is accurate or whatnot. If there's another angle showing the incident, it seems as if they saw something that we did not see yet. But in this news clip, they talk about how there was only one body camera, and the officer who did fire the shot did not have one. So I find it to be interesting, even a little bit suspicious. But I'm going to play the news clip. I'm going to slow down the video of the shooting, and we're going to break it down. For those who have not seen it, let me give you a quick little backstory before we play this news clip. Antwan Cooper was pulled over by the police. Apparently, he had maybe an expired tag, is what they're saying. When the officer spoke to him, found out that he did not have a license on his person, or he's unlicensed in general. Well, he pulls Antwan out of the car. He proceeds to start patting him down. Antwan begins to resist and try to free himself, break away, and start running. Of course, the officer is trying to hold on to him. You see him grabbing his shirt, trying to hold on to him, grabbing his dreads, trying to hold on to him. Eventually, at some point in time, the officer falls down to the ground, and then you see in passing, or from the angle, you see another officer running towards the screen, and then he fires a shot. The shot ultimately shot Antwan in the head, killing him at the scene. Now, there have been some questions about a gun, that a gun was present on the ground during that altercation. That can mean a lot of different things. They're saying that when the officer recognized he had a weapon, I guess that's when the tussle happened. Now, you can't see a gun. I was unable to see one. I don't know how that came about, where the gun was, if the gun was in the car, if the gun was on this person. I don't know. Now, if the gun was on this person, in his waistband, in his pocket, or maybe he had it and he dropped it, we don't know the circumstances. But to be quite honest with you, it does create a potential danger for the officer, especially if the subject is resisting. Now, he was shot, but he did not have a gun in his hand, to our knowledge. We don't know. We can't see it from the body camera. But it was told that he never actually grabbed the gun, brandished the gun at the officer, and never threatened the officer with any type of weapon. And so the family is like, and the attorney's like, hold on, why did he get shot? You know, if he wasn't a threat, he was not a threat, or where was the threat? When did it manifest itself? So you guys, I've been on record saying this before, that obviously if a person has a weapon, does not constitute officer being able to shoot them. That's just not the law. And so there are a lot of factors that take place. And unfortunately, without body camera and things like that, it always becomes a one-sided story. And so I'm big on transparency, and I'm big on, marketing the officers in a better light. And the best way to do that is to be open and transparent, come out and explain what happened, show the evidence, and be very forthcoming, because it helps with the relationship and rebuilding the trust with the community. So with that being said, let's take a look at this news clip, because I'm curious to see what they said on here. And I might fast forward it a little bit just to kind of get to the...
now. Police released body camera video
want to get to.
All happening during a traffic stop near Miami Northwestern Senior High School in March. Antwan Cooper behind the wheel.
Go roll the windows for me.
From an officer's body camera, you can hear this officer ask Cooper for his license. Cooper says he doesn't have one.
Just go ahead and step out the vehicle.
Once outside of the vehicle, that's when it appears Cooper tries to book it. The officer and Cooper tussle for several seconds before. Moments later, another officer can be seen walking with their gun drawn.
Shots fired, shots fired.
The family has decided to pursue a lawsuit for wrongful death and excessive force. The family and their attorney speaking Friday now that the footage has been released.
Officer.
Okay. I'm gonna rewind it back and slow it down so we can just have a better look at it. Let me see. I'm shrunk down a little bit here. I want to take a look at. I want to slow this whole thing down so we can break it down, you guys. And again, what happened, right? He's pulled over. He's asked to exit the vehicle for whatever reason. The officers don't really need much of a reason to do that. He gets him out the car and he proceeds to try to pat him down, and the suspect tries to run. This is not uncommon. This happens a lot, you guys. But, you know, how did it end up in him getting killed? Where was the gun on his person, or how did the gun come in play? What did the officer who responded see? Let's go ahead and play this in slow motion. One of the things too, as this is playing, you guys, I'm just going to kind of give some information. You know, one of the things I teach people that I'm dealing with, and, you know, if I go to community events and I'm talking to a community about their issues with police officers and things like that, you know, I say to these guys, just in general, I say, listen, if you guys are going to be out here riding dirty, right, you're going to be committing a crime, and or you have a gun or you have drugs on you, things that you're not supposed to have, you're about to get pulled over, take that stuff off of you, right? One would argue that this should be common sense. You take that stuff off of you, put it in the car, put it in the glove box. Don't have it on you. Do not create or escalate a situation further than it needs to go. And, you know, sometimes, you know, I've talked to people who say, I forgot I had the gun on me. Officer, I apologize. You know, I said, it's cool. We cool. Everybody's cool. I'm cool. You know, and sometimes people have it on them, get out the car and think you're not going to find it. You know, I found guns on people and we had a conversation. I said, listen, if you're cool, I'm cool. If you move wrong, you're going to put me in a situation where I'm going to have to, you know, I'm going to have to do some things. Right. And, you know, you guys, this is the reality of the job. There's nothing easy about it. Things go from 0 to 100 real quickly. I see as he gets out the vehicle, what happens? What's the biggest problem, you guys? At the end of the day, it is the resisting of arrest. And so now he's trying to run. Damn, this is moving quick. I wanted to kind of see his waistband and see maybe if there was a gun on him. I'm slowing this down. Okay. So he's trying to run. The officer has him by the shirt. We see that. Some people argue, how come you just can't let him get away? You guys, it doesn't work like that. That's not how our job is. Our job is not to let people get away because they don't feel like being held accountable for whatever reason. Unfortunately, right? In a perfect world, maybe, but that's not how we work. This is a country of laws. Let me move my face. I don't know. Because I definitely want to see this. Move me out the way. I want to see his waistband. God, this thing is quick. So the officer's holding on to his shirt. At this point in time, you know, we see clearly. Someone asked me what software I'm using. I can just move myself around like this. All right. So the officer is holding on to his shirt at this time. He's not assaulting the officer, and I think this is what the family saw. I mentioned in my previous video, the family's like, hey, he's just trying to get away. He's not assaulting the officer or any of those things. So this is the family. They're absolutely correct. He's just really resisting arrest, trying to look. I don't know what the officer has in his hand right here. I think earlier that was his drive, like an ID or something, I believe. But nonetheless, the officer hasn't let it go. Piece of paper. Must have been his registration. So again, he's not assaulting the officer. We see that. We call this resisting arrest, passive resistance, right? He's just trying not to be apprehended. Or I would say active resistance. The brother's holding on to that T-shirt. I would have slithered right up out of there. You've seen people do that, right? You have their shirt and they just do one of these numbers and they're gone, you guys, like a damn snake's shedding skin. So they're playing tug of war. Now the gentleman he sees the other officer, you guys. You'll see it in a minute. There's a second officer who arrives on scene. He's running towards them. I think he grabs his dreads at this point because he was losing grip of the shirt. That's a good tactic. He grabs that. Now, again, I don't see anything here. We see an object that's been dropped here. I still don't see a gun. I don't know what this is. The screen's very blurry, but so far, that's nothing. So at this point, we see them tussling back and forth. The officer's on the ground. We see the officer on the ground. I see a little object here, but I don't think that's anything either that could be in his pocket. So he's wrestling with the guy. The guy is still just trying to get away. I don't see any type of assault at all. He holds on to his dread. The guy's gone. Antwan Cooper is gone. The officer's on the ground. And shortly after, you hear a gunshot go off. I don't know why, but then you have this officer who's coming into the screen, as we see right here. Now, you guys, I said something in my previous video, and I don't necessarily, it's not about me trying to be right or anything like that. This is a supervisor, this is a sergeant. Let me do this. Bam. I know you guys are like, that's smooth. Someone asked me in the previous video, hey, what are you using? This is OBS software. It's actually really dope. But you see this guy who walks into the screen. That's a supervisor. He gets out his car. He's running towards the scene. He pulls his gun out and he shoots Antwan. And he shoots him in the head. One shot. Now, people are saying he didn't deserve to be shot like that. The question is, what did this officer see? I was told, and the news was saying it, that there was a gun involved to some degree. A gun was present. They found a gun. At the scene, the gun, they took a picture on the ground of the weapon. I'm going to show you what the weapon looked like. But we don't know how the gun came into play. What did this officer see when he first got here that we are not seeing ourselves in the moment? You know, how did he know from the distance he had a gun? Was he reaching? Was he pulling? What happened? Why was he shot? We don't know. I'm going to tell you what's going to really make this thing all make sense is what was the positioning of Antwan's head when the bullet went in it. Why do I say that, you guys? Because if his head is facing the opposite direction and the bullet goes through the back of his skull, the question's like, he's facing this way, he's retreating. You know, it still applies. Is this gentleman a threat? When was he a threat? Those things all have to be calculated and observed. Now, the problem is they're saying that this sergeant doesn't have any body cam. So, I mean, there's going to have to be some explaining in reference to what did you see? What did you see from that distance? You know, because by the time you showed up, he was already separated. Did he see something that we don't see? And then this officer's body camera is facing downward, right? It's facing upward. I mean, he's on his back. He's on his back. You know, the time the shot was fired. You know, one of the biggest things when we talk about training in law enforcement is you have some officers who don't have any good self-defense or hand-to-hand tactics or combat training, meaning they don't know how to grapple, right? They don't know how to grapple well. They don't know how to actually use their hands to effect an arrest proactively in the moment. They don't know joint locks, right? These things aren't done on a consistent training basis. I was at a phenomenal police department. Our training was extremely amazing. And even we didn't have consistent grappling teachings and training on a consistent basis. I think for me specifically, I know a couple other officers, you know, I did martial arts, right? So I was a lot more confident in hand-to-hand combat with people on the street that I made contact with. You know, joint locks. I know they don't want chokeholds, but, you know, neck locks, head locks, things of that nature, joint manipulation. Those things are like an extreme asset to have when dealing with people, because every situation you can't pull your gun out, you know. And sometimes if you're getting beat and punched, you're getting beat up, then you're forced to use your gun because you can't defend yourself any other way, right? So I'm curious to see what their explanation is going to be, you guys. I honestly don't know. And I was thinking that we had the whole body cam footage, and we're missing the one of the most important camera, the one on the shooter. The one on the shooter. So, you know, as a law enforcement advocate, you guys, the best thing I can do is explain how things are and how things should be. I could be completely honest and transparent with you. I have no reason to hide. I have no reason to be disingenuous, because I want the problem solved as well. And so when I see this, I know what needs to be explained. What did you see? What was the threat? How did he manifest the threat? And, you know, it needs to not necessarily be believable, but it needs to be real. It needs to be true. You know, you can make things up, but I'm going to tell you, if they come with an explanation and it sounds like a bunch of BS, I'm going to tell you, like, nah, that's not accurate. That's not accurate, because that's not how we operate. It's not how we're supposed to operate, and that's not what the law says. So I'm curious to see how the gun came into play. Maybe the gun was on the ground and he was reaching for it. Okay, cool. That'll be justified. So I don't know. And I don't see a body cam on this gentleman at all. You know, just looking at it from this below view, you know, I didn't really see one with him walking up. So the officer gets up, he's up. Oh, his body camera fell. So his body camera fell. That sucks, because that would have helped. These things, and the body cameras fall, they're not on really secure. They need to have a better way to secure them, to be honest. But here we are. He lets go of his hair. And we don't know what that officer saw coming to the scene, to be honest. Anyways, you know, I'm gonna pull up a picture of the gun so you guys can see it. Looks like this definitely is what we call a subcompact weapon, and this could be where it could have been inside his waistband. It could have been tucked inside of him, I guess inside his boxers or something like that. It could have been in one of his pockets. I tried to slow it down and look. We really don't know. At the same time, and it could be a lie. It could be planted. That's happened before. It's unfortunate, but you know, this is why we need transparency, right? All of a sudden, there's no body cam for the sergeant. My thing is that policy? We'd have to pull up the policy. Do their supervisors wear body cameras? You know, someone would need to look at some old body camera footage of other encounters and see if supervisors are wearing one. And, you know, that's going to be a question, right? It's unfortunate, you guys. Again, I don't know. I think as this thing unfolds, we'll learn more, we'll see more. But what's the problem here? How come this isn't making mainstream news? The shooter's black. The shooter's black. You know, I mentioned this before on the previous video, you guys. One of the biggest things that's going on is that they use race as a way to invoke an emotion out of the community, the black community. They use race as a tool. They weaponize it. in order to get the outcomes and the impact that they actually want. We didn't hear about it. People are not making a big deal about it because the shooter is black and the suspect is black, the suspect slash victim. And just because he resisted arrest does not mean he gets shot, you guys. It's really unfortunate. I've read a lot of comments and things like that when this thing first came out. We just live in a very, sick world, man. It's just, things are out of control. The violence is out of control. We've become so desensitized. The police are just kind of acting how they want to act in some cases. And we try to justify it because a person has an extensive criminal history, or that they fought or they resisted. It just does not mean they get shot and killed. I'm sorry. It is what it is. And I'll challenge anybody who feels some other way about that. Feel free, please, to challenge me on it, because I will definitely address it appropriately. So, you guys, this is interesting. Wait to hear more about it. I'm curious to see where the gun came from, what the officer saw. And again, here's my thing too. The powers that be who run these departments, the chief, the media, that they talk to, you guys, they know how sensitive these topics are. Why wouldn't you just come out and give people the story? Tell people, be transparent. It's just that easy. And when you don't do that, unfortunately, it makes people feel like you have something to hide. So I never understood it. I've seen other departments be extremely transparent. Even when officers make mistakes, they say what it is. I don't get it, man. And, unfortunately, too, my community, we something happens, we'll kind of raise Cain for a little bit. And then within about 2 weeks, it dies down. And then there's no support back in the situation. So, it's a lot of work to do. I'm going to play my part and have the conversation. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts. This is, again, it's tragic. It's unfortunate. There's some pieces still missing. So I'm curious to see how it unfolds. So until then, you guys will stand by and we'll wait. Anyways, let me know your thoughts. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until then, to the next video, good night. God bless.